A gracious good morning, Dr. Bennett and Purple Cloud C-Suite team. This is Tommy Halstead with a brief presentation. This presentation is about 5 minutes and it's a summary of 2 potential resolutions to Purple Cloud's current undercapitalized situation and recommendations for sustainability. To begin with, business issues and organizational concerns when compared to the comparables in the industry of McAfee, Norton, Bitdefender, and others, is that, like many startups, Purple Cloud is seriously undercapitalized. The strategy challenges include organizational structure, cross-functional team development, and maintaining culture of innovation because their pipeline at Purple Cloud is the future of their multiples and of getting great valuations for partnering as one of my recommendations, or sale as another of my recommendations. The 2 potential solutions that I am offering are an organizational restructuring for the sale of the company, and that is reorganizing around a matrix cross-functionally with specialized roles, improving our ability to achieve the earnings and multiples 4 times revenues and 19 times earnings that will propel us to a future with either a joint venture partner in a niche we choose, or as all the other companies in this sector, we've looked at 35 of them with detailed models of each via acquisition and equity-based partnering. So the 2 solutions are then restructuring for sale of the company or for a joint venture in a niche we choose. I'm recommending a narrow niche like healthcare security, and also with a final exit of acquisition, as all the other companies have in this sector. The structuring will streamline for agile development, and I'm recommending a matrix structure with just as partners like McAfee, Norton, Bitdefender, and the others have done to be purchased by Symphony. If you look at Norton, McAfee's, and the others' ratios, their quick ratios, their cash ratios, they were absolutely destroyed. They're companies that were going under because of undercapitalization, and that's happened frequently in this industry and is going to happen to Purple. We need to streamline our structure, choose a new partnering-oriented CEO, and have a clear structure and focus on and strategy on being acquired by a larger company like Symphony. And then you look at the failures like Demisto and others, FireEye, because of Afghanistan, but FireEye and Demisto, they were also picked up at fire sale prices by Symphony, unlike McAfee, which got a great valuation, even though they had terrible financials. They structured for an acquisition. We have to really develop cross-functional teams with a matrix. And in our final recommendation, we have a structural strongman, but we need the diverse skill sets, collaboration, innovation, and client value delivery with the mission and vision of not being everything to everyone, both B2B and consumer, but making a choice in those spaces, and then targeting 2 types of partner, one to acquire us or one to joint venture in a niche with us, and then eventually probably exit with acquisition as well. There are 3 series of ethical considerations to each choice. There are implications for employee buy-in, maintaining transparency, and most importantly, being careful about what McAfee did before Symphony, which was use their root access to actually become exploiters of the elderly and people that don't understand cookies with their access to the root directory. We have the same thing at Purple. We have to be careful about those ethics. Of course, we need employee buy-in. We have to communicate the benefits to all stakeholders of what we're doing compared to the other models. We've modeled over 35 companies like McAfee and others and use the comparables to look at where our financials are at and where our ratios need to be to get that kind of valuation to sell or joint venture for maximum benefits to our employees, stakeholders and shareholders and new investors. Also, of course, we have to not do what Maccabee did and threaten people like seniors, creating false exploits out of their cookies and saying, look at all these people coming after you. We can clean that up, which was absolutely, they've been sued by it, but they're still number one and they're still doing it to this very day. And our ethics, since we have root access, we're going to have to decide, do we want to do that or not? I'm recommending that we do not go that route, and yet we do go the route of sale or acquisition. My final recommended solution is to develop those cross-functional teams via matrix, pick a new CEO from hopefully from among our current team, which I'm recommending, or go out and look, but one that's deal oriented to either of those two deals, being immediately acquired with a high multiple because of our pipeline and our new organization, or picking a joint venture with a smaller niche where we'll also have an exit of acquisition. And we need to consider carefully what happened to Demisto and FireEye, where they were sold to the same way as Maccabee and Norton were, only for no multiples, basically as an asset sale, with liabilities left behind. So we have to really take the challenge of this undercapitalization and pick one of those two strategies. I'm suggesting we take the sale route, but we don't have to take that fork in the road if we reorganize carefully now, because the organization isn't going to matter as much after the acquisition of the joint venture. It was for three different types of organizations, with the three between Maccabee, Norton, and then the ones that went under FireEye and Demisto, and they were changed by the acquiring company. The great success by Maccabee and closing the company, in this case of Demisto. So finally, the summary of this presentation is that we have to really look at the financial side of this. We have modeled this with best, worst, and most likely cases created that we can look at separately, over a dozen models, pro formas, with regressions on them showing exactly where we ended up compared to the comparables and where we are now and what our choices are. Our main choice is to decide what we want to do globally and with partnership, because every one of these companies in the sector, there's 37 million new startups a year in software and SaaS. Less than 1 million make it 5 years, and 3 million make it 2 years. So it's worse than a restaurant investment. As a venture capital, I've invested in many of these companies that have about a 50% batting rate. 80% is genius. Half and half isn't too bad in terms of picking companies and CEOs. I heartily recommend we have a CEO ready to go here that has deal-making abilities, and that's my recommendation with our Strawman org chart. You can also look at many of our references, models, and exhibits here. We've done many pro formas and financials on this company compared to the comparables, and we are ideally structured if we reorganize and position ourselves for those multiples to get maximum valuation to our founders, our shareholders, and especially our employees and stakeholders. Thank you very much for listening, and let's talk further.